Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Gland Bodybuilding. Mountain. And today I'm going to answer a question about training all the muscles. Meaning, once in a while I'll get somebody ask me if they need to train a certain muscle group, if it's a super strong muscle group for them, or if they feel like they're getting so much work from other exercises on said muscle group. They're asking, like, should they train that muscle group anyway, or do they really need to? Well, the answer to this is not going to be the same for everybody. It really just depends. I prefer to train every muscle group just because, or at least the main muscle groups, let me put it that way, the main bodybuilding muscle groups, right? I prefer to train them just because there is a certain experience involved in doing so. So perhaps you will address some sort of dysfunction in that area that you don't realize, and you'll be able to rehabilitate it by constantly being aware by using those muscles. Right? If you don't use your muscles, you don't really know if there's a problem with them. Sometimes through focusing on different muscle groups, you can find out. But in this particular question, this person was asking, do they really need to train their front delts? Because they notice that they get a lot of front delt work from their bench pressing and from their incline work. Should they focus more on the medial delt and the rear delt? And in this circumstance, especially from my own experience, I would say, yeah, that would be an option. If you're noticing that you're getting a large amount of front delt work from your pressing movements already, one could argue that you don't need to shoulder press as often or do any front raises. I would stick more to the rear delt work, the rotator cuff work, and the side delt work, and then leave your pressing work to give you some auxiliary front delt development. So a lot of pro bodybuilders do this sort of thing. If they notice like one muscle group is developing so much, they may ease off on developing that muscle and then focus more on the other muscles to bring balance to that area. And of course, the front delt is a standard area that people work even before they get into the gym. Like say they do some construction, usually when you're lifting stuff in front of you, you're always using your front delts. Pots and pans in the kitchen, like whatever it is you're doing, if you're digging ditches and stuff, you're usually using a certain amount of front delt. It's usually the side delt, the rear delt, and the rotator cuff that are not necessarily getting enough work. So yeah, this strategy is something that I did apply because I noticed that my front delts were pretty strong. So I focused about 70% of the time to rear delt or side delt work for my shoulder training instead of focusing on front delts, because I found, once again, like when I was doing bench presses, I was getting a ton of front delt work and also inclines and so forth. And it did work out pretty good because when I did do shoulder presses, I was actually very strong at them. It wasn't like I was losing strength or going backwards in any sort of way. So yeah, so that's what my recommendation on that would be. If you do notice an area is overpoweringly developing, it is a standard practice for you to take your focus and then move to a different area and perhaps focus on that. Another case in point would be leg training. If people notice that their quads are just overwhelmingly developing so great, they might focus a little bit more often on hamstring work and then do the quadriceps a little bit less. Like maybe they'll do quads, 30% of the time instead of 50 or 60% of the time, right? So yeah, you can adjust your training accordingly depending on how the body's developing, because this is an ongoing conversation between you and the body will show you what you need to do and what is working and what's not. Mountain. You guys didn't see anybody behind me the whole time, right? I haven't sold a lot of workout programs lately, but I did see that a few of them sold locally, and I wasn't aware that that these monsters in the woods actually have access to the internet. But apparently they've gotten a hold of some hiker's iPhone or something, and they're buying workout programs from my website. So I do have to be careful when I'm in the woods, because these guys are they're just a little bit brutal. All right, they're strong, they're hungry, and yeah. My point is, this is a dangerous job. It's just a dangerous job. So yeah, I hope this helped you out in your training. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalglandbodybuilding.com. And thanks to the patron supporters, where I'm doing a podcast every week on natural bodybuilding. And yeah, if you like that sort of thing, make sure you show up. The link is in the description. Chocolate.